And Sam Mednick reports from the scene of an Iranian missile barrage in central Israel.
This is happening as President Trump has said that there is what he calls great progress in these talks that are being made to come to some sort of deal. However, he's also said that if no deal is reached soon, if the Strait of Hormuz is not open, that the United States is going to broaden its targets. So far there is no signs that this war is slowing. The United States and Israel continue to strike Iran, and Iran is continuing to send missiles this way as well.
Meanwhile, President Trump says securing the Strait of Hormuz is not for us, and estimated that the U.S. will be done attacking Iran in 2 to 3 weeks. Trump made the comments Tuesday to reporters. He said the U.S. will not have anything to do with what happens in the strait, instead telling reporters that the responsibility for keeping the vital waterway open will rest with countries that rely on it. On Wall Street, a good day as the Dow recovered. It was up by 1,125 points. The Nasdaq rose 796, with the S&P 500 advancing 184. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If your investments are in a 401k or an IRA, then listen carefully. You spent 30, maybe 40 years building your retirement. The question is, are you about to watch it take a hit you can't recover from? Military escalation in Iran, tariffs and legal chaos, the U.S. dollar under pressure it hasn't seen in years. History is clear. When this much uncertainty hits at once, the investors who moved into gold and silver first came out ahead. Right now, Advantage Gold is offering a free gold investment kit and a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's powerful new book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000. Thousands of Americans have already rolled over a portion of their 401k or IRA into physical gold and silver, completely tax and penalty free through Advantage Gold. Don't wait for the next surge to wish you had moved sooner. Results vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
A Marine is detained after the TSA finds a live 25mm explosive round in his checked bag. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
Police in California say a U.S. Marine has been detained at Palm Springs International Airport after TSA officers found a live explosive round in his checked bag. It happened Monday during routine baggage screening. The Palm Springs Police Department says the Marine told investigators he picked up the 25mm round about a year ago. He said he thought it was not live. Police say rust and corrosion hid the markings. Authorities confirmed it was live and destroyed it in a desert area. No one was hurt. Authorities are reviewing the case for potential criminal and civil penalties. I'm Julie Walker.
News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters.
This program is brought to you in part by Ability Tree Experts. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professionals. Call 281-441-4179.
For many years, the Pine Box has been helping families gain insight into the often confusing and extremely expensive task of arranging a loved one's funeral. I have worked with Pine Box in the death of 2 family members because I know I can trust Chip Beresford at the Pine Box, he's the owner, to be sure that he walks me through that process and that I am prepared for the funeral and that I get the quality I seek without breaking the budget. Because it's a very difficult thing. No one wants to feel like a cheapskate handling a funeral of a loved one. But you also can't afford to go broke either. You know, funerals are statistically the 3rd largest expense in someone's life. The Pine Box sells the same caskets and funeral merchandise that is offered at funeral homes, but at a tremendous savings, and delivery is immediate and free within the Houston area. Visit their website, thepinebox.com, or call Chip directly at 1-888-PINE-BOX. That's 1-888-PINE-BOX. I trusted them, and you can. The Pine Box.
Spring deals are popping up early at Lowe's. Right now, get 4 bags of Stay Green 2 cubic foot mulch for just $10. Plus, save $20 on an Ego 56-volt string trimmer, now just $199. Spring starts better when you save early. Don't miss out. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 3/18. Mulch offer excludes Hawaii. Selection varies by location, while supplies last.
Beautiful and healthy trees do increase your property value, but the key word here is healthy. Sick, ugly trees will actually decrease the value of your home. That's why I recommend you call Lewis Flory with Ability Tree Experts at 281-441-4179. They can spot insect and disease problems the average person will never see. They will make sure your trees are properly pruned to allow sunlight and fresh air into the canopy and allow strong winds to blow through instead of damaging your tree. Call Lewis Flory today. That's 281-441-4179. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professionals.
Where should I begin?
Can we talk about this?
Say, what are you trying to say?
Beyond the usual controversial talk.
Blah, 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 on and on and on. Over there.
1, 2, cha-cha-cha. 1, 2, cha-cha-cha.
Prepare yourself.
Okay.
For Craig.
Okay.
Preparing a mighty new spectacle here.
Articulate. Stimulating. Hits you right in the... there you go.
We start becoming a team right now.
This is the Craig Collins Show.
Lord Jesus. Oh, Lord, no.
Start talking. Talk fast.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Now your host.
He's a good man.
Craig.
That's right. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas, baby. Thrilled to be with you every single day from Monday through Friday right here from 6 to 7 o'clock. Thank you to everybody who called into the show yesterday, now that I finally figured out how to answer phones and do a radio show at the same time. So you can call in. You can be a part of the show if you want to at some point, and I'll give out the number in just a little bit. But call in, and I'll throw you on hold, and I'll just say this again like I did yesterday. When you call into this show, if no one talks to you and you suddenly are on hold, that means you've made it through. You don't need to hang up. You've made it. You will probably be on the air at some point relatively soon after you've made it through to the phone, made it through and gotten on hold. All right. I immediately need to talk about the Charlie Kirk thing, and that's how I'm going to refer to it. If you don't know, there are some headlines out there in quite a few different publications, not just one, that says that the bullet that was used to shoot Charlie Kirk does not match the gun that was used by the suspected murderer of Charlie Kirk. Now, that is a rather disingenuous way to describe what's actually going on here. If you look a little bit deeper, and it's the defense for the person who's accused of killing Charlie that said that, the bullet doesn't really make sense. It's not necessarily one that came out of the gun. It's the right type of bullet to have been fired from that gun. It's just a bullet fragment. And so essentially the small piece of the bullet that was in Charlie's body might not necessarily show that it was fired by the gun that is believed to have been used to kill Charlie Kirk. That doesn't mean it wasn't used. That doesn't mean it's still not the correct bullet, the correct gun, all of that stuff. It just means that essentially the friction that's created when you fire a bullet through the barrel of a gun, the scratches, for lack of saying it a different way, they're unique. They're created by, a whole myriad of things inside the barrel of the gun, and it's almost like a snowflake where they say that none of them look exactly alike or something. And so that's essentially what it is. But it's such a small piece of the bullet that having inconclusive data, not conclusively saying it wasn't fired by that gun, but by another gun or another bullet or some crap like that, which that's not what this is. But essentially having data that's not as damaging as you would have expected it to be is something that people are running with. Now, out of all the people running with this, one of the people that you most expected to have her mouth yelling and screaming about it is Candace Owens. And so I want to play audio that's resurfaced, that's been viral all over the internet, of Candace in September of last year talking about the truth of this story, that the bullet didn't match or wasn't necessarily proving that it came from this exact gun. Candace seems to understand this much better when she does the research on her own and finds this way before it becomes a mainstream headline in September of 2025 than she pretends to understand it now. This shows you, and it's just an 8-second video, but this shows you definitively how people use performative politics, performative discussions, and they know full well they're lying to you and they do not care. But here's Candace Owens saying, again in September of 2025, the thing that I just told you, the correct way to refer to this story, that she's now pretending as though is very different in whatever reason, almost April, March of 2026.
Now, regarding the bullets, the source says that it was too fragmented to match Tyler's rifle.
Too fragmented to match Tyler's rifle. It is not definitively not the bullet used to shoot Charlie Kirk. She says it the right way. Now she's acting as though this is, profound proof that all of her conspiracy theories are true. I'm going to go right to the phone lines. I got somebody on the phone. Caller, what's your name?
My name is Jimmy X.
Jimmy. I figured it might be you, so I figured I wouldn't leave you on hold that much this time. How you doing, buddy?
Dude, I'm doing great here, man. Hey, the scary part of this is that there are so many conspiracy theories, and I hear them constantly from friends, family, people I work with, my wife. Dude, they all think that the Israeli Mossad actually killed Charlie Kirk.
I know.
And all this does is add a little fuel to that fire, bro. And that's scary. Gotta tell you.
Yeah, no, I agree with you that it's scary because it's not actually proof of anything. To say it again as clearly as Candace said it back in September of last year, and I'm saying it now, a fragmented piece of a bullet that doesn't have the friction points necessary to indicate that it was fired by a specific gun is not saying to the world that it wasn't fired by that weapon, by that person to kill the individual that the bullet fragment was found in. It's not proof of the opposite. And so, Jimmy, let me ask you it this way. I'm frustrated a lot when people act as though the lack of certain information is proof of something else, because it isn't. And this is why you need receipts. This is why you need people like Trump to be in the White House to inevitably give you receipts, like what's going on right now in Fulton County, Georgia, or in Arizona, where we're going to get definitive proof, I think, definitive proof of election fraud. You need that inevitable piece to know what you're looking at. They don't have that in this story, and a lot of people don't care.
They don't, and we have callers that call into this radio program. Most of the time, they're Marxist leftists that just read something or hear something on the internet, and it's truth.
Yes.
Okay? And we had one yesterday. We had one this morning as well when I was listening to Salcedo.
Oh, wow.
They just make stuff up because they can, because no one challenges them.
Yeah.
No one says, hey, that doesn't sound actually factual.
Yeah.
And so can you prove your point, Adam Pencil Neck Schiff? Or can you just make wild allegations and accusations?
Sure.
And you can just say it and it's the truth? No, man. So, no, I hear 100% what you're saying.
Yeah.
Walk cautiously, okay?
Sure.
Just because we live in the information age doesn't mean that all information is real and valid.
Yeah, and I want to say this a different way, too, because I'm not rejecting the idea that some of these things we might find in the world we live in today might inevitably give us more truth than mainstream media narratives will ever give us. They lie to us constantly. I know that. You know that. Everyone knows that. So I'm not pretending as though the availability of information is in and of itself bad. I'm definitively stating that you have to have actual proof to say a thing, and you have to fully understand what you're talking about if you're pretending it is proof, even when it's not. Now, you're a military guy. I don't know how familiar you are with, the ballistics and how that all works when you try to figure something like this out, but I was pretty intrigued to know that guns have all different kinds of points of friction within the barrel that would essentially mean that that's how they often prove that this bullet was fired from this gun, is how, as the bullet goes through the weapon, it winds up having these unique marks or scratches on it that you would be able to easily recreate the next time you fire a bullet out of the gun. I didn't know that. That's a new piece of information to me, but a small fragment doesn't disprove that this bullet went through that gun.
Man, and here I had you as a CSI junkie. So
no, man, I didn't know that's the way that they did ballistics. Did you know that?
A little bit of that, yes.
Nice.
I mean, but rudimentary at best. But I had a basic understanding,
Sure.
That there's a footprint, and every gun has a footprint.
Yeah.
Every bullet has a footprint, and that's how they can, find criminals, find shooters, etc. So,
yeah.
But anyway, man. So, hey, when do we get the Craig Collins show on SoundCloud like we have Salcedo and the Three Amigos.
So it is on SoundCloud. If you go to KSEV's radio page, it is there. However, because I've been doing this for a while other places, I also am on Apple iTunes, Spotify, all that stuff with like reviews and subscribers. I'm not trying to brag. This is a weird nerd thing to say. So I would actually prefer if the people listening went to a different place, not SoundCloud, to listen to the show. Look up the Craig Collins Show on Apple, on Spotify, whatever your podcast platform of choice is, because I actually have a much larger audience there than on our KSEV SoundCloud page.
Well, I'm going to go to excuse me.
Anything else?
What's the other one?
Amazon Music, whatever you like, man. I don't know what you use to listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yep. I listen to Spotify.
Cool.
So I'm gonna go down. I'm going to go download the Craig Collins Show on Spotify.
Dude, you're awesome. Yes, it is on Spotify. Thank you.
I will be a subscriber.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man.
Appreciate it. Hey, I sent you a message. I got a guy for you.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, shoot me your number. I'm going to connect you via text. He's all excited.
Cool.
He is a Navy guy, but he was a pilot.
I love how you guys make fun of each other for what branch of the military. I told you, I responded to you. I'm just going to tell everybody on the air. Gummy Gary booked my next veteran for this coming Friday. He booked a veteran, a Marine for, I think, 30 years. She got 2 Purple Hearts in Iraq. But next Friday, I'm open. So I will send you my info, and I'll connect with the veteran that you found for me. And I just want to echo what Jimmy X is doing to anyone else out there listening. Every Friday at 6:30, I do Veteran Voices. It is a half an hour of this show that I intend to fully surrender, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, to any veteran that wants to have anything they want to talk about heard on the radio. You don't have to be a business owner or connected to a large veteran group. If you want to tell stories about your service, you can come be a part of this show. Jimmy and anybody else who knows people that you want to recommend for me, please do it. Radio at Radio Craig C on social media, or Craig at ksevradio.com is my email. Just send me veterans, and hopefully every Friday at 6:30 we'll talk to somebody who served this country and protected our freedom.
You got it, man. So let me know. Thank you, Craig. Great show, bro.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you as always. And it's funny that he compliments me, calls me the professor, and says he figured I would have been like a ballistics nerd, because of course I know, I'm going to try to pretend as though I'm a little bit smarter now. I knew that there was a way that you could identify how a bullet went to a specific gun. I've heard that countless times, but I didn't know the minutia of it until this Charlie Kirk thing. And here's what I'll tell you about this story before I take a break. The thing that moves me the most about it, and this is taking a positive spin on what I think is sort of definitively a negative thing out there in the world. And what I mean is negative is, for some reason, people like Candace Owens are looking to blame Erica Kirk for the death of her husband, and that's disgusting. I find that to be uniquely horrific in our society, that a widow who is a very devout faith individual, a Christian, would be potentially blamed for orchestrating the murder of her husband. It's disgusting on a variety of levels. But here's the thing that I like about the idea that so many people are so invested in the case to find the person responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk. It's the impact of Charlie Kirk. I think there are people who come at this with good intention. I don't think Candace Owens is among them, and I hope that audio I played at the start of the show demonstrates how ill intent she is, how she knows what she's saying now is definitively false compared to what she was saying a while ago when she thought she was the only person discussing the inability for the fragment of a bullet to prove that it came from a specific gun. But nonetheless, I think that there are people who just want answers, who just hate the idea that Charlie Kirk was killed by a deranged lunatic in our country because of what he thought and believed, especially if you think and believe things like Charlie. And I remember saying this on the Saturday show I was doing here right after this became a prevalent topic. I wasn't working here when Charlie got killed, but when it first started to become a big thing as far as the way people were talking about Candace Owens, her popularity, all of that, the thing that I most want to say about it is that I saw myself in Charlie Kirk. Not that I was as eloquent, as proficient, or as well-versed in the Bible as that man was, or most other things. The man was about as well-read as you can be in our society, but he was a little younger than me, in his 30s. I'm in my early 40s. I'm 40 now. And the things he would say and do, and the way that he would sort of desire to have a conversation with the other side. He would oftentimes, at these things he did at college campuses or anywhere else, silence his supporters, which is sort of amazing in the society we live in right now, to have someone physically somewhere listening to someone who disagrees with them, because most often those arguments happen on the internet now, or I guess here at the radio station over the phone. They don't happen in person. But Charlie was doing this in person. He had an overwhelming amount of supporters who would show up at any of these things that he did, and he would tell them to be quiet. He would tell them essentially not to bully the person that they evidently all disagreed with, and that was incredible. It was a wonderful demonstration of how you can have a conversation even with someone that you heavily disagree with, and he wouldn't interrupt them, at least not for a while, until they started to interrupt him back. And if you think that's not true, I beg you to go back and watch the videos, the tremendous amount of videos out there of Charlie having a patient and reasonable argument where he definitely doesn't fold from his side of whatever the discussion point was or the topic was. But he's certainly willing to engage in that back and forth in a way that barely exists in our society. If you talk to someone that's hardcore to the left and you try to tell them something like gas prices in June of 2020 were over $5 a gallon, and gas prices right now, well, the highest they've been in 4 years, meaning the tail end of Biden's presidency after gas prices were atrocious, and every moment that Trump has been in office, the number has been going down, and significantly more down when Trump took office than when Biden left office. The amount of cost difference in the end of that one administration to the beginning of the next one is it's like $1 something in and of itself, the amount that Trump was able to drop our gas prices. But yes, now they're back at $4. They're not over $5. So if you look it up yourself, and most people should do this, and not just assume whatever voice you're hearing, if that voice is on a side of the aisle you're not on, is somehow lying to you, just look it up, dude. That's usually what I say to anybody. And actually, I'll tell you this, too, before I take my break. A caller that called into the last show, to Chris X's show, called back in after Chris X had said goodbye, which means that caller's done and move on to the next one, and complained to me and was kind of yelling at me, how dare this host be so dishonest? And I tried to tell that listener, while also trying to man the phone lines for everything else that goes on when you're helping out in another show, when you're running the board, which is what I do for that program. But when you're doing that, you're trying to tell the person, just look it up. Don't call in and yell at me again and claim that the stuff that the guy said isn't true. You can go, it's very easy. You type into Google, June 2020 gas prices, and Google will tell you, and sometimes Google is a tad one-sided in the sources it finds, meaning those sources are to the left, but it'll tell you that the price was over $5, that it peaked at around $5.17 or something, which is still $1 plus more per gallon than we have right now, and we're fighting a war against terrorists, or at least people who fund terrorists, compared to what Biden was doing, which was fighting a war against oil and gas for no reason, because he said he'd do it in his during his campaign, and then he did it, and it was horrible and terrible. So it's just so funny to see that kind of stuff be the kind of thing that people refuse to acknowledge, because we could have a much more reasoned conversation the way that Charlie did it with the people that would show up at those campus things that he did, if you allow for both of us to agree on what facts are. But very few people can actually do that in the society in which we live. All right, we'll take a break. A lot coming up. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas.
You know, where we go in life matters, and what we do matters. And we know that taking the wrong road won't produce the best outcomes. Hi, I'm Kathy with Baker Mortgage, and we want you to take the right path when it comes to your mortgage. You know, we live in a world of information overload, but always consider the source. And these are not generally going to be from your big bank or a random offer that comes across your screen. Remember, you're always going to get a better deal on one that you go looking for than one that comes looking for you. You need to deal with somebody who gives a you-know-what, whether or not you're happy in the end. At Baker Mortgage, we do it right. We haven't been around for 68 years because we're lucky. We don't sell CDs, insurance, or anything else. We just provide a great mortgage experience. Isn't that what you're looking for? Call us at Baker Mortgage. I promise you'll be glad you did. We're at 281-313-MOVE or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
Jim Clark, a.k.a. Check-A-Pro Joe here. Houston's best contractors. Houston's smartest homeowners. It all starts with the Check-A-Pro radio show. Now hear my show every Saturday at 7 a.m. right here on AM 700 KSEV. The voice of Texas.
Match is back here in the Mac Z-Cliner. I'm recovering from surgery thanks in large part to this miracle chair, the Mac Z-Cliner. You can sit in it, you can recline in it, you can watch TV in it, you can eat in it, you can sleep in it. It goes to zero gravity position. The Mac Z-Cliner helped me recover. It also has heat and massage, a place to charge your cell phone. Come out to Gallery Furniture, buy a Mac Z-Cliner before your surgery. Gallery Furniture delivers tonight, or after your surgery, Gallery Furniture delivers tonight, and you'll sit and sleep great tonight.
That's Mike. He took ZQL Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZQL Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate. At O'Hara & Company Real Estate, we believe in God, family, and country. In the past 50 years, people have been trying to remove all three of those from our thinking. Fight for what you believe in and protect your freedoms before they're all taken away. Don't let anyone infringe on your rights. If you need a real estate company, call O'Hara & Company Real Estate, 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at o'harare.com. I'm Kevin O'Hara. God bless America, and God bless Texas.
Everyone knows the BBB is the Better Business Bureau, but depending on what you need, it's the Better Plumber Bureau, the Better Auto Mechanic Bureau, the Better Accountant Bureau. That's because the BBB connects people with businesses they can trust. So think of the BBB as the better check that business out first so you don't get ripped off bureau. Be smart. Always look for the BBB seal because it's looking out for you. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
But if Iran is wise, they will cut a deal. President Trump doesn't bluff and he does not back down.
He does not.
You can ask Khomeini about that. The new Iranian regime should know that by now. This new regime, because regime change has occurred, should be wiser than the last. President Trump will make a deal he is willing. And the terms of the deal are known to them. If Iran is not willing, then the United States War Department will continue with even more intensity.
All right, that is Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War. Which I love how Joey Pags makes fun of that. And also, I like hearing it right there. Like, it's a awesome name for the Department of Defense to be the Department of War. But anyway, what he's saying, the context of it matters quite a bit. You've actually heard several different reports now about Iran being very willing to make a deal because they've been devastated by the United States. Here's what's interesting to me about this specific discussion. So let's fast forward 6 months. Let's get very close to the actual midterm elections. Let's assume best case scenario and then worst case scenario for Republicans. Best case scenario, this war is long over. It's something that might end in the next few weeks. And gas prices are way, way down because whatever deal we've made with Iran has benefited us to a ridiculous degree while also rooting out one of the biggest world sponsors of terrorism in our society. So the world is safer and gas prices are cheaper. Best case scenario for Republicans, I know. Will anyone give him credit? I know the answer for conservatives, Republicans will be yes. We will try to. I know it'll be ignored and drowned out by everybody else. And how do I know that? Because of everything else that's gone well in this administration and how little anyone wants to talk about it on that side of the aisle. Look at the border, for example, something most Americans cared about and I continue to harp on this show. It is absolutely closed. It used to be wide open. A lot of people were mad about that. Closing something, fixing something, having success is not what mainstream media wants, so they're not going to admit it. They're very upset about it, but let's assume that that happens. I expect the everyday American will be wise enough to see the truth because the price you pay at the pump will be way lower than what it is right now, and probably as low as it's ever been during the Trump administration, which says a lot because he said some very low gas prices. And that'll be an easy win that circumvents the control system that is our one-sided political machine of a mainstream media outlet. Let's assume the opposite. Let's assume the war is still going on. Let's assume things are bad as far as the optics of gas prices and whatnot for conservatives, for Republicans. I think Trump knows, and I think a whole lot of people know, that would end poorly as far as the midterm elections go. If we're still fighting this fight in October, September, November, if we're still dealing with gas prices as high as they are right now, then of course, all the things that Democrats are yelling today would actually make sense. But here's the problem that they have so often on that side of the aisle is they don't care about the truth. They don't care about what the actual experience you and I have is. They care about their fake projection of where society is going. They pretend it's real. COVID is a great example of this. And then when they're finally definitively proven to have been wrong the whole time, which data point after data point has come out and said how many mistakes we made during COVID that Democrats and liberals tried to force down our throats, wearing masks, social distancing. Scientific studies have proven how stupid this was. Even some of the people, I hate to rehash this, but I'm going to do it very quickly, like Dr. Birx, one of the faces of COVID for the Trump administration, and then the Biden administration, has come out and said how much they overplayed their hand, how many things they did that they knew weren't really scientific and eventually were proven to be the exact opposite of helpful in our society. That's pushing the goalpost. That's pushing the narrative to the point where you eventually can just pretend none of that happened. And I remember there was an op-ed in one of the leftist online sources that said, let's just forget about this. Why blame anybody for the fear or the things they thought during COVID if they wound up not being true now? How convenient to yell at the people who wound up being right about stuff for a while, to be so mad at them, and then when eventually you're proven wrong, to be like, hey, that doesn't matter anymore. It's sort of like the rules that happen sometimes in a marriage when one of the two people wants to make sure his wife is always happy. So you don't bring up the victories you have when you notice you have them, because why fight about that? Why go that road? But I love my wife, and I don't want to have fights with her. I don't care so much about fighting the narratives of truth and fiction that exist within our society with liberal morons. But I love that that's the excuse. Like, I was emotional. Leave me alone. Stop talking to me about this stuff. All right, I want to shift gears to something else. Birthright citizenship has been a conversation that is building in steam, building in value. It's something that President Trump has been putting up on Truth Social, talking about the importance of getting rid of it. Fox News, Will Cain, exposed how birthright citizenship is heavily abused by people with tons of money, especially foreign actors like China. This is a real story. I want to play this audio for you first. It feels very similar to the discussion yesterday about how the No Kings protest was funded by Chinese organizations and funded by a whole bunch of people that had ties to Soros and billions of dollars of money. You can tell me that this is, the guy on the radio is yelling conspiracy theories and saying crazy stuff. This is all backed with actual data. They went and looked at who paid for the permits to get the No Kings rally legally set up in a bunch of different places. And it was organizations that were all tied together that had billions of dollars in revenue, that were all very left-leaning and, yes, tied to people like George. That's a real thing, that George Soros had influence in the individuals who inevitably pay for the permits at these rallies. And now we have this. We have definitive reports demonstrating that Chinese billionaires are using our birthright citizenship rules that are very unique to our country. Most other countries, including our allies, do not have this. You can't be born in England or, France and wind up being a citizen of that country. They don't have that. That's not, even if you're popped out there, which is a weird way to say it. That's the way my wife always jokes with me about this. Even if you have a kid in one of these places, you don't get citizenship just because that's where you were born. It is unique to us, and it is easily abused by people who don't like us. Here, I want to play some of this story.
Let's start here with some examples of some of the types of individuals we could be talking about, like Juan Carlos Valencia Gonzalez. Now, Juan Carlos Valencia Gonzalez was born in Santa Ana, California in 1984. His parents were from Mexico. He happens to also be the stepson of El Mencho, the leader of the Jalisco New Generation cartel. And now he is reportedly leading that very same cartel. And here's the thing. He is a United States citizen by birth. And it doesn't stop there. Reports of foreign wealth being used to manipulate the system. One Chinese billionaire reportedly has more than 100 U.S.-born children through surrogacy. The idea, build a future family and a business succession plan. Some clients, by the way, request up to 100 babies via multiple surrogacies.
That's insane.
It can cost as much as $200,000. And why would they do that? Because babies born here are automatically U.S. citizens.
By the way, $200,000 was per child. So if you have 100, you have a whole lot of money. I think like $20 million that you're spending in order to get a whole bunch of people that are descended from you that are now U.S. citizens that you might be able to use in some way, shape, or form. You can yell at me and call this conspiracy theory all you want. Just reporting the fact of this is all that I'm doing. I don't know how it's used, what ways in which this could be bad for our country, but you can easily fill in those dots yourself, I think, to say, hey, maybe if a foreign billionaire in a place like China who doesn't necessarily want good things for America is spending $20 million on having 100 U.S. babies, that there could be a problem with that. It honestly sounds like a James Bond villain thing, or Dr. Evil, if I'm going to go with Austin Powers as a reference. It just sounds like an insane thing that you would never hear, and yet it's happening. It's happening quite a bit, and this deserves to be pointed out as a potential use, a potential abuse of a system that we're one of very few places in the world that has, and we should also mention one of the most desirable places to be a citizen of. So, yes, of course it's the kind of thing where someone bad could misuse it in a way that doesn't make sense to us anymore, and this should go away. We should reflect the sensibility of most of other first world countries that don't have this, and allow for it to actually be a necessary step in the you're a citizen process, that one of your parents is currently a citizen of this country. To have no one who lives here have a kid here, and then that kid gets the citizenship, that also seems bad. That also seems wrong for a variety of reasons. And again, you can probably figure those out. But I just think this matters as far as pointing out the obvious potential for abuse of this system. Because if you don't say this out loud, if you don't have this discussion, people will claim that there's no way to abuse it, that birthright citizenship is harmless, that there's no possible avenue to cause some sort of bad thing to happen in our society. That's not true. And even more important, the people who yell conspiracy theory, so what if somebody is the surrogate father of a bunch of babies who have no interest in knowing anything about him? Just wait until we see one of those individuals do something like the guy that's tied to the Mexican cartels, who is a U.S. citizen operating here in our country. Well, apparently, according to most of our intelligence community, running one of the most dangerous cartels to the south of any of the organizations that exist there. Like, this stuff matters. And I love when people say, like, oh, it's so crazy, it's so ridiculous, because I want to be very clear about this. I'm not telling you what the other 5 or 6 steps are, because I don't know them, as to how we get from this being potentially bad to this being actually very bad in our society. I'm just reporting, I'm the messenger, essentially, and I'm just reporting the facts. And I love how that alone will cause people to think this person, whoever it is, not just me, is being controversial, is feeding some sort of conspiracy theory, when the reality is that this is pretty basic stuff that you yourself can also look up and find a definitive paper trail on. All right, I want to play one more thing before I take a break. This is Stephen A. Smith talking about Tiger Woods. I know this is a transition. I will do a quick 4 after we come back from the break. Those are silly topics that I like to talk about, so it's not just serious, even though I only get the 1 hour every day on this station, and I feel like there's just so much news that it's hard to go to the silly. But I thought that this was a good entry point into not necessarily political talk, but certainly something a lot of people are talking about. Stephen A. Smith points out one of the biggest head-scratcher things when you talk about Tiger Woods and his DUI arrests and his decision to keep getting behind a vehicle. impacted by something, whether it's alcohol or drugs, prescription drugs, whatever it might be. Who knows? But this is pretty good stuff from Stephen A., who has been saying political things a lot too recently. But this I thought was a obvious path in the what is Tiger Woods thinking and doing that you might have said to yourself on Friday when you saw the story about one of the most successful, most wealthy athletes in our society once again having a pretty bad decision cost him both political, public opinion, and then probably some private issues caused by getting behind the wheel of a car he shouldn't have been behind. But here's Stephen A.
What I don't understand is this tendency to get behind the damn wheel of a car.
Yes.
You're a billionaire, bro. You can afford car service. We are very fortunate, ladies and gentlemen, that Tiger Woods hasn't killed somebody yet.
We are.
This is the third time he's been caught behind the wheel inebriated. I'm not saying this to castigate and vilify Tiger Woods. Who doesn't love Tiger Woods based off of what he's meant to the world of golf and sports? If you are in the world of sports, we owe him a great deal with the content that he's been able to provide for us, courtesy of his greatness for spanning so many years. But how forgiving as a society are we supposed to be with this proclivity or tendency that you have to get behind the wheel of a car when you're inebriated? Or are we not gonna be satisfied until he kills somebody? No matter what it is, it's opioids, it's Vicodin, it's Ambien, it's whatever. Bro, you can afford car service. I don't think it's too far-fetched for somebody to say to Tiger Woods, could you please stop getting behind the wheel of your vehicles?
Yeah, I fully agree with everything that Stephen A. Smith is saying there. It makes no sense that someone with that level of capability financially doesn't get himself an Uber or a professional driver that drives him around anywhere to avoid these types of horrible things from being something that happens. I don't know if I was super wealthy, if I would stop driving a car. I like driving. It's something I like doing. But if I were Tiger Woods and I had multiple instances of making mistakes where I was not capable of being behind the wheel of a vehicle and I did it anyway, the easiest solution to that problem is to start paying someone else to drive me around so I don't have any risk anymore of doing that again. If I'm someone who's done it multiple times or maybe just once, I would learn from that lesson. This individual doesn't seem to be capable of that, and it should be something that's confusing to a whole lot more of us because, yeah, I also agree with what he said about the importance of a Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods has been an awesome, amazing, incredible athlete / golfer for the majority of my life. And I remember as a younger guy watching Tiger do incredible things on a golf course. And now whenever I do them, by the way, real quick, I think this is kind of funny. I went golfing with Gummy Gary over the weekend, and my wife came along with us. And at one point, my wife is brand new to golf. At one point, Gummy Gary's like, she should just use one of her hybrid clubs the entire time. Like, don't switch off of the hybrid 3-wood. Don't use any of the irons. You don't need the drivers. Just practice with one club. And it was a great suggestion. It made Betty have more fun. It made the entirety of the thing easier for all of us. But here's the part that was funny. She started putting with that hybrid, and she was great. I couldn't believe she was Tiger Woods levels of good. She hit a couple deep putts from like the fringe of the green that actually sunk into the hole. And I was watching. I was like, how is this possible? What is happening right now? She would be such a good putt player. I think she'd go national if she was allowed to use a hybrid wood instead of a putter. And I don't know why that is. If somebody who knows golf better than I do wants to tell me, maybe she's just too light and that extra impact of that type of club pushes the ball further, and she's just hitting everything very light. But it was a couple of the shots were ridiculous. They were insane. Both Gary and I were looking at her like, we don't know how that just happened. And so I think she's got to be someone who putts with a hybrid wood all the time because it just seems to be much, much better. But again, it was in that moment with my wife where I was thinking about Tiger Woods. Like, that's how much he transcended that sport, that a silly putt on a green here in Houston on a Sunday reminds me of some of the amazing things Tiger did when he was winning championship after championship and, major after major. Just incredible to think about, and so sad to think about where that person is now. All right, we'll take a break. A little bit coming up, including a quick 4-ish segment. It is totally ripped off from Dana Lash's Quick 5, which she does multiple times a show. I will actually be filling in for Dana on Thursday and Friday of this week and Monday of next week. So if you listen to her national show, and I highly recommend you do it in a place like Radio America's website. They are the syndicator of Dana Lash's show, or check out her podcast. You'll hear me. You'll hear my voice nationally filling in to her 8 million listeners on Thursday, Friday, and then Monday of next week. I'm still thrilled that they make that phone call and ask me to do that show. It's ridiculous, and it's awesome. One of the, I think, 5 biggest radio shows in the country. But yes, please check that out, and definitely listen to her Quick 5, and in a few minutes, my Quick 4-ish, which is lovingly stolen from her show. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Usually they happen on the weekends, holidays, or while you're away on vacation. I'm Richard Sod, president of Nick's Plumbing. When you find yourself facing a plumbing emergency, call the licensed and experienced professionals at Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services. Nick's Plumbing has been Houston's first choice for all your plumbing needs since 1979. Our experts can take your most difficult plumbing issues and fix them fast, fix them right, and usually for less than you'd expect. Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services is the right choice for any plumbing job, from a leaky faucet, whole house repipe, or a complete sewer line replacement. You can count on Nick's Plumbing to do the job right. With over 40 years in business and over 150,000 satisfied customers, Nick's wants to be your plumbing company. Nick's Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nicksplumbing.com.
MPL 38548.
Call Nick's Plumbing today. We're on the way.
The leaders.
Senator Ted Cruz.
Thank you, Chris. It's always great to be with you.
Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker.
Hey, thanks for having us on. I appreciate it very much.
The newsmakers.
Folks like Peter Schweitzer.
Hey, Chris, it's great to be on with you.
Ann Coulter.
Great to be here, Chris. Thank you.
And the day's top stories with spot-on analysis.
Their first concern is not for the security and safety of the people of this country. Their first concern is protecting their left-wing behinds.
The Chris Salcedo Show on The Voice of Texas.
Matches back here in the Mac Z-Cliner. I'm recovering from surgery thanks in large part to this miracle chair, the Mac Z-Cliner. You can sit in it, you can recline in it, you can watch TV in it, you can eat in it, you can sleep in it. It goes to zero gravity position. The Mac Z-Cliner helped me recover. It also has heat and massage, a place to charge your cell phone. Come out to Gallery Furniture, buy a Mac Z-Cliner before your surgery. Gallery Furniture delivers tonight, or after your surgery, Gallery Furniture delivers tonight, and you'll sit and sleep great tonight.
Can you shed any light on why the fraud got so out of control in Minnesota?
Come on, Ilhan.
I think what happened is that, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate. And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that a lot of the guardrails did not get created.
So you're saying that the government is terrible at spending our money, that essentially they're really, really bad at protecting any version, any semblance of prevention of fraud. They're bad at that. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. That's Ilhan Omar popping up on CNN and giving a somewhat honest but very obviously awful answer to that question, because the truth is, the right answer is, yeah, we shouldn't have done it. We shouldn't have these programs exist with such few guardrails that are supposed to help people. And I say air quotes when I do that, because we do this on purpose. We do this so we can smuggle and, steal all kinds of money ourselves. We absolutely are part of the fraud, baby. We're part of the embezzling, part of all of that. How, in fact, are so many of the people in Congress, people in the Senate, worth millions of dollars, insider trading and other things, all the ways they go about that. So the real answer, the valuable answer to that question should have been, we made a horrible mistake, a mistake we should not make again, because it was terrible for you and for me. And, well, it's probably not terrible for her, actually, but terrible for a lot of us. All right, one last newsy thing. And, man, I'm leaving a lot on the cutting room floor today. And then we'll get to our quick 4-ish, which are sillier topics. There was a mural in Providence, Rhode Island, that was depicting a young woman who was brutally murdered on the train by a deranged individual, a terrible individual who's now lying about her. And local news there was reporting on the mural needing to be taken down because politicians in Providence, including the mayor, condemned it. And I just want to say before I hit play on this audio that a innocent human being, a victim, was stabbed to death on a train. Someone decided to put up an artistic mural to celebrate that person's life and to bring awareness to the horrible thing that happened to her. And because the individual who did it is the type of person that Democrats like to protect, they like to pretend is not a criminal when they absolutely evidently are, with multiple arrests, multiple releases, et cetera, they thought that's too controversial to depict this woman and, remember her in a positive way. Talk about insane to feel as though this is somehow inappropriate after someone is killed. But here we go.
Well, Emily, Jean, it's still here, but not for long. Artist Ian Goudreau tells me he's sad it's come to this point, but after calls from Mayor Smiley and other local leaders to remove the mural, it felt like only a matter of time before this happened.
The artwork is going to be removed.
Artist Ian Goudreau breaking the news to NBC 10 Monday afternoon. The Irina Zarutska mural is coming down.
A lot of people voiced their frustrations, and voices were heard, and the work is coming down as a reaction.
Yeah, you can hear from the artist that he's like, I don't get it. I don't understand this at all. Irina Zarutska is not someone that deserves to be thought of as controversial. She's someone that deserves to be appropriately thought of as a victim of a horrible crime. And honoring her life, etc., is the kind of thing that's never a problem in our society. There are tons of murals here in Houston for people who have died. And so just because this person allows, this person being the Irina Zarutska individual, the person who got killed on a train, allows for people to use it as an example of a opinion in politics. That's truly what this is. It's a true story of an innocent woman who was brutally killed by someone who should not have been out of prison in the first place, who had been arrested before, a career criminal. And yet, because it can be used as a point to be, this is why politicians of a certain side think the things they think, that is unacceptable in society in places like Providence. This is what makes people so mad, in my opinion, on the right. And I mean that, I think that the frustration in having a conversation is often the stuff that you don't want to agree to, no matter how much it's based in just simply facts, is the stuff you get to cherry pick and ignore whenever you're trying to make an argument the other way. And yet these anecdotal pieces of information are often also used by Democrats and very often used by mainstream media to prove their narrative. The whole cops are terrible people thing that you've heard certain places, thank God not as big of a thing here in Texas. By and large, and this is simply a fact, almost everyone who serves our community as a police officer does not do the potentially, some accused of things that seem to be bad. And oftentimes when a cop is actually proved to have done something wrong, other cops hate it as much as everybody else, or more than everybody else. But society and our media system grabs onto those stories because it fits their narrative. This story, because it refutes the narrative, is something they can't possibly accept. All right, we're going to end the show on something lighter, a few lighter things, and we'll probably pick up on some of the news stuff that I had available tomorrow on the show that I'm leaving on the cutting room floor. But a couple of sillier things. We're calling this the Quick Four-ish segment, which is lovingly stolen from Dana Lash's segment, where she does a Quick Five. Hidden Valley Ranch is hiring 4 people that they're going to call Ranch-bassadors. And I have to be very careful about the way I say this, but I think I have a commercial promoting the quote-unquote job. A lot of companies do this. They create a viral position that lasts for a year, that 3 or 4 people can get, that pays you a decent salary. I never see any follow-up story of the people who get these jobs, but here we go. This is something that a lot of people online are enjoying. Eurofoods creating a brand new gig that a lot of people seem to very much want.
Hi, I'm Chief Ranch Officer here at Hidden Valley. This summer, in honor of America's 250th birthday, we're hiring our first ever Ranch-bassadors to spread the flavor of America, ranch, all around the globe. Picture this: summer, Europe, You and a suitcase filled with ranch. We'll send you on an all-expense-paid
Sounds
trip,
terrible.
spreading the flavor of America, ranch, abroad, and capturing your content along the way. To learn more, visit our site. And remember, the flavor of America is in your hands.
All right, look, a lot of that is just stupid, and I do find it amusing, but also part of me evidently can figure out how some people are so intolerable in our society because they actually care about this stuff. They're like, yeah, Ranch-bassador, I want to make sure I'm still saying that correct, is something that's important, and we should talk about that. I find this to be very amusing, and I thought it was a perfectly appropriate topic for a quick 4-ish segment, but mostly a complete waste of your time and mine. So I both apologize and then sort of enjoyed the fact that I got that palate cleanser of a thing out there. There's also this story. A person stole a headset at a McDonald's and then started saying weird stuff to the people that were going through the drive-thru. This also went viral as sort of a quirky story out there. I'm surprised this doesn't happen more, that people don't say crazy things through the little speaker system at some sort of, giant fast food chain, because of how the internet works and how many of these companies would get a lot of pub from this sort of thing. But here's a little bit of the audio of someone who somehow either hacked or simply stole a headset and talked to real customers and then, captured it all on video.
Sorry, someone stole one of our headsets and they're trolling us.
What do you want to eat?
Don't listen to them, man. I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
Why don't you go to Brahms instead?
I'm so sorry.
Big arch meal with a medium fry.
Anything else for you, though?
Big Arch isn't even good.
Oh my gosh.
And then can I get a 10-piece nugget?
No.
You can put it on that first one, though.
Thank you,
I
both
think
of
the
you.
guy is doing a Beavis and Butthead impression, too, by the way. I don't know why he's doing that. But, yes, somebody stole somebody else's headset and talked to customers. Again, this is annoying, but it's also the kind of thing that I kind of think you'd probably see more often for companies that are doing this because they know that they'll get some sort of viral recognition, at least for a day, based on that. One last piece of silly audio out there. This is a judge yelling at a woman who is evidently driving while on a Zoom call for a remote, legal thing that she had to do. She had to appear in court through Zoom. She's obviously behind the wheel of a vehicle and pretending as though she's not. I guess this is just a message, a PSA for anyone out there. If you're going to appear in court, you cannot use the green screen function or the, fake my background function to pretend as though you're not evidently behind the wheel of a car while appearing in court in front of a judge and getting yourself in more trouble.
You cannot be driving, ma'am. What are you doing? Come on.
I'm not driving. I'm a passenger in a car, but I will have my driver pull over. Hang on 1 second.
Am I crazy, or does it not look like you're driving that car?
Yeah,
I'm not driving the car. I'm a passenger in the car, sir.
Now you're lying to me, right?
Yes.
No, I'm not, sir.
Let me see the driver. Let me see the driver.
Hang on 1 second.
No.
I have to ask their permission.
Oh, you're not in the you weren't in the driver's side. You think I'm that stupid?
Yeah, and then she also is like, they don't want to be on. They're camera shy. They don't want to do it. So it's really a thing with you and me, and I'm sorry. But I love the fact that she says, my driver has to pull over, and then you see her moving her hands as though she's turning a wheel to park this vehicle. No, probably a judge is not that stupid to be convinced that this was somehow a thing that you're not actually doing, a law you're not actually also breaking. All right, that's it. That's the whole show. Thrilled as always to be a part of your day for anybody that tunes into this show Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 o'clock on KSEV KGBC, the Voice of Texas. I will be back tomorrow, of course, and then I will also mention that later on this week, Thursday and Friday, and then Monday, I'll be filling in nationally for the Dana Show. That's Dana Lash's nationally syndicated radio show. You can find it a whole lot of places. Check it out on her website or check it out on anywhere that you get your podcasts. Probably the best way to get it, at least for now. In the near future, there's going to be an even cooler way to hear Dana's
You're
show.
listening to
See you
the
later.
Voice of Texas, AM 700 KSEV Tomball,